There are different things you can do. Usually the machines that are made nowadays will do it all for you. It will even diagnose problems based upon the actual rhythm strip, the waves and complexes. Okay. Now, what are we looking at here? Well, first we're seeing reading from the left to the right. We see this initial bump with the letter P. This is called a P wave. Okay, this is the beginning of the electrical conduction through the atria. And then it's followed by a complex, what we call the QRS complex. See the Q down here, the R up here, and the S over here. So this is the QRS complex. Okay, and that indicates the electrical current as it travels through the ventricle. And then we have this space over here, and then a final bump. This is called the T wave. And the T wave is an indication of the cardiac muscle tissue repolarizing and getting ready to have another electrical current pass through it again for the next heartbeat. Okay, so we have a P wave, a QRS complex, and a T wave. There are other measurements here, the PR interval, the ST interval, things like that. Don't worry about that. I mean, we can, if you were going more into more advanced reading of electrocardiograms, we would do that, but we're just doing the basic complexes just so that you can see exactly what each of these waves and complexes stand for. Now remember, the machine is reading the passage of the electric current from the SA node to the AV node and through the rest of the structures of the conduction system. It's not telling you that the heart is contracting, that there's systole, that there's diastole. You have to just think, you know, whenever the electrical current passes across a particular portion of the myocardium, that myocardium will contract. So you can associate it. But it just doesn't specifically tell you. All right, let's look at the P wave to start. The P wave, the very beginning of the event, it corresponds to the development of the electrical signal in the SA node and its travel to the AV node. So the P wave is the electrical current starts in the SA node. These nodal cells depolarize, and there's an action potential sent across the myocardium of the atria to the AV node. That's what the P wave represents. Okay, and our following complex, the QRS complex, we see down here, it's going to correspond to when that electrical current, that depolarization, travels from the AV node down the bundle of His and down the bundle branches and into the Purkinje fibers. What happens during this period of time is the signal travels across the ventricles, and the ventricles should contract. So that's what our QRS complex is showing. However, it's also during the same period of time, remember during our P wave, we've had depolarization of the atria. The atria contract. After the atria contract, they then relax. There's then atrial diastole. That will occur at the same time as ventricular systole, at the same time as the QRS wave. And then we have a space and we have our T wave. And the T wave corresponds to ventricular repolarization. Repolarization is when the myocardium, the cells of the myocardium previously depolarized now go back to their normal state, and that is also associated with ventricular diastole. Okay, so those are our events in our electrocardiogram. And anything, here's our correlation of the electrical pathway. At the bottom here, we can see the yellow line as it's traveling over the complexes in the electrocardiogram, and above it, in the heart itself, in yellow, we can see the area that the electric current is actually traveling across. Now remember, we started our